Ever wonder why some people seem to achieve their goals effortlessly while others struggle to stay on track? The secret isn't talent, luck, or even motivation. It's consistency. But here's the catch. Consistency isn't about grand gestures or overnight transformations. It's about a day-by-day formula, a simple, sustainable approach that builds unstoppable momentum over time. In this video, we'll break down how to make consistency work for you, not against you. Whether you're chasing a big dream or just trying to build better habits, this is the game-changing mindset you need to stay on course no matter what life throws your way. When someone's routine appears seamless, it's often because they've embedded consistency into their mindset, treating it as a commitment, not an occasional strategy. Rather than chasing fleeting inspiration, they trust steady action, understanding that regular effort outlives sporadic bursts. Motivation may ignite progress, but it's unreliable, fading quickly and leaving room for doubt or distraction. True consistency rises above momentary feelings by making showing up non-negotiable. Whether honing a skill, nurturing health, or chasing a dream, you turn small, repeated actions into lasting results. Each day, you reaffirm that progress thrives not under perfect conditions, but through persistent dedication. This daily rhythm replaces chaotic sprints with calm, purposeful strides, like laying bricks methodically to build something enduring. That's the power of consistency. Even on tough days, placing one brick keeps momentum alive. Small victories fuel self-trust, proving goals aren't achieved overnight, but through patient, step-by-step effort. When setbacks strike, consistency becomes your lifeline. You're not restarting, you're resuming a proven pattern. Structured routines transform vague ambitions into actionable habits, shielding you from procrastination. Over time, momentum replaces sheer willpower. As repetition makes effort almost automatic, this steadiness becomes the foundation for lasting change, guiding you toward your best self, one deliberate choice at a time. Many struggle with consistency because they confuse intensity with sustainability. Dramatic overhauls or relying on motivation often fail when life disrupts plans. The solution? Small, repeatable steps that integrate seamlessly into daily life. Momentum starts when you prioritize gradual growth over occasional leaps. A simple routine acts as an anchor, grounding you when enthusiasm dips. The simpler the habit, the easier to maintain. Complex systems often become burdensome. Focus on micro accessions, 15 minutes of skill practice or a short focused workout. These tiny efforts accumulate, boosting both ability and the belief that you're someone who follows through. Daily practice also accelerates growth. Regular engagement reveals insights faster than sporadic efforts. Writing daily, for example, gives 30 drafts to refine in a month. Far more valuable than one marathon session. The immediate feedback loop that comes from daily repetition fosters steady gains. An attribute of consistency often overlooked by those enamored with intense but short-lived efforts. As you settle into a stable pattern, you build confidence in your ability to adapt and stay focused. That confidence can then spill over into other areas of your life. Once you see it's possible to maintain regular exercise or daily reading, you realize you can apply the same disciplined approach to learning a new skill or reorganizing your finances. The underlying principle remains the same. Define a manageable routine, commit to it, and let the cumulative effect unfold. Some worry that this methodical approach might extinguish spontaneity or joy, but in reality, a consistent structure often frees you to savor unplanned moments more fully because vital tasks aren't left floating in uncertainty. You know you've allocated time to your priorities, so if an unexpected opportunity for fun arises, you can indulge without guilt, secure that you won't derail your progress. This balance of planned action in open space fosters a sustainable pace, one where you neither burn out nor deprive yourself of life's pleasures. In essence, consistency thrives when supported by strategic planning. Small daily targets, an awareness of natural energy cycles, and a focus on process over immediate results. If you take this approach, you shift from sporadic striving to a measured journey. Each day becomes another step in a purposeful dance linking your present actions to a more accomplished and self-assured future. When your deeper motivations remain fuzzy, it's easier to skip a practice session or push aside a daily commitment, especially if the payoff isn't immediately visible. But if you can link each small step to a bigger reason, improving well-being, mastering a craft, contributing to others, your mind begins to see that routine not as a chore, but as an investment in what you value. Honesty with yourself is a cornerstone. If you claim you're too busy yet still find hours for idle diversions, it might mean you haven't genuinely locked onto a reason compelling enough to drive daily repetition. That doesn't make you lazy or unmotivated. It might signal that you need a clearer purpose behind the action, reflecting on what outcome genuinely inspires. You can illuminate whether you're attempting a goal that aligns with your core values or whether you've latched onto something that feels lukewarm at best. Once you do have a genuine reason, the day-by-day consistency is less forced. It starts to feel like following through on a personal promise rather than fulfilling an obligation. Someone else suggested a helpful tactic is to regularly ask, what does success look like at the end of today? Not in terms of massive leaps, but in terms of what meaningful progress would look like over the next few hours. The mind can get overwhelmed by large, distant outcomes, but tangible daily targets create a near-term focus that makes the act of consistency more tangible. If you're learning a language, success might be reviewing vocabulary for 10 minutes. If you're refining an artistic skill, it might be one focused sketch over a year. These quick hits accumulate into significant development, all because you consistently fed that skill daily nourishment. It can also help to reduce your exposure to temptations that pull you away from your routine. If your goal is to write every evening, but the moment you sit down you see numerous distractions in plain sight, consistency becomes a harder hill to climb. By managing your environment, maybe clearing the space or removing objects that lead you off track, you remove small obstacles that erode the will to stay consistent. The fewer mental negotiations you have to make, the smoother it is to slip into that daily formula. Mental dialogue can also shape your commitment. If you routinely tell yourself, I always quit, or I never finish what I start, you wire your brain to see inconsistency as inevitable. Consciously replacing those thoughts with, I'm someone who values daily growth may feel awkward at first, but your self-talk holds power. Little by little, each affirmation nudges you toward acting like the person you describe yourself to be. It's not about pretending struggles don't exist. It's about choosing language that encourages you to follow through. Though consistency thrives on stable habits, it's wise to allow occasional flexibility. Life is unpredictable. Travel, unexpected commitments, or personal events will sometimes disrupt your schedule. A rigid plan that breaks down at the first sign of trouble isn't ideal. Instead, you can form contingency plans. If you can't do your full routine, you do a shorter, modified version. This tactic preserves a sense of forward motion, ensuring you don't completely abandon the habit, but adjust it to fit the day's circumstances. That flexibility keeps you from an all-or-nothing mindset, where one missed day becomes an excuse to quit altogether. Progress tracking can amplify the consistency cycle. Recording each completed session or daily target, even with just a simple mark on a calendar, sends a small jolt of satisfaction. This record also exposes patterns. Maybe you're consistent every weekday, but often skip on weekends, or you notice a dip at certain times of the month. That awareness can highlight areas for fine-tuning. Furthermore, seeing a string of successful days lined up can create a mental barrier to breaking your streak. You think, I've come this far, let me keep it going, which is a subtle but effective motivator to show up once again a day by day. Formula isn't about static repetition. Either you're allowed to evolve your routine as you learn what works best, or as your goals shift. The central idea is to maintain a consistent heartbeat of activity, rather than randomly changing things without reason. This approach fosters a blend of stability and adaptability. You keep the commitment to daily progress, but remain open to refining how that daily progress is achieved over time. This synergy encourages both growth and staying power, offering a balance that purely rigid or purely casual strategies rarely achieve. It's worth remembering that consistency doesn't erase hard work. It channels it. You're still putting in effort, but in more regular and digestible chunks, reducing the likelihood of burnout. This is why many who follow a daily formula say it's liberating rather than limiting. They no longer cycle between extremes of intense push and long lulls. Instead, they allow a natural cycle of action and rest, trusting the incremental gains to accumulate. And that trust is the essence. You trust the process, trust the compounding effect of small actions, and trust yourself enough to believe you're capable of showing up consistently. Comparisons often arise when you see someone consistently achieving milestones, while you struggle to find that daily spark. It may be tempting to assume they possess an innate drive or a level of discipline you simply don't have in reality. What sets them apart is rarely extraordinary willpower. It's that they've mastered the practice of aligning each day's small actions with a broader direction. This sense of alignment bridges the gap between daily routines and higher ambitions. Whenever the mind questions why bother doing this today, the answer is already woven into that personal map, guiding them toward a deeply valued objective. Resisting distractions is another core element. Even decades ago, temptations existed, like idle conversations, daydreaming, or aimless wandering. Each generation faces its own forms of diversion, whether it's the latest social event, an endlessly entertaining show, or a personal hobby that starts overshadowing primary goals. Consistency means acknowledging these diversions, but choosing your primary task at the appointed time rather than letting the day slip away. This skill isn't about self-denial. It's about deciding which activities deserve priority in each moment. Those who master this art gradually notice that it becomes second nature to steer themselves back on course whenever they begin to drift. An often overlooked aspect of consistency is how it naturally builds patience. When you operate on a day-by-day formula, you come to terms with the idea that worthwhile results seldom materialize instantly. Each incremental action is a vote for the future you want, like casting a ballot every day in favor of your long-term vision. This shift in mindset helps combat the restless urge to measure progress prematurely or abandon the effort if immediate gains aren't visible. Patience, honed through consistent practice, allows you to ride out periods when progress feels slow or invisible, trusting that these small acts accumulate in meaningful ways. Celebrating incremental milestones prevents your routine from becoming a dull grind. If you're learning a new language, a weekly nod to how many words you've mastered can invigorate your drive. If you're writing daily, the day you complete a certain number of pages might call for a small personal reward, a walk outside, a chat with a friend, or a relaxing pastime. These mini celebrations aren't just nice extras. They serve as psychological markers that reinforce the habit. They remind you that you're making tangible strides, giving you emotional fuel to keep repeating the process day after day. Examining who you spend time with also shapes your consistency. Engaging frequently with people who share a similar aspiration or who appreciate consistent effort can spark mutual encouragement. Accountability becomes more natural when a colleague or friend checks in, or when you share experiences and tips with someone on the same journey. On the other hand, surrounding yourself with people who continually dismiss your routines or coax you into lazy detours can subtly undermine your diligence. Being mindful of these social influences isn't about cutting ties with those who don't share your goals. It's about reinforcing your environment with at least a few supportive voices that nudge you towards steady practice rather than sporadic bursts. Adapting to life changes is another phase where a day-by-day approach excels. Rigid plans that never accommodate shifting work schedules, family matters, or personal obstacles tend to collapse. But if your method is flexible, focusing on the principle of daily effort rather than a single unchangeable routine, you can make minor adjustments in response to circumstances without losing the core habit. Perhaps your usual morning slot isn't possible for a month due to travel or extra duties. With the right mindset, you shift your practice to evenings or another slice of time. The consistency resides in the fact you still honor your daily pledge, though the exact form or timing might have altered slightly. Reflecting on progress at regular intervals crystallizes learning. A monthly or quarterly review, for example, can help you see patterns. Are you consistently meeting your daily marks? Do you feel stagnation in certain areas? Such reflection not only keeps the routine from becoming mindless repetition, but also informs you of when and where to push a bit harder or shift tactics. Building reflection into your cycle ensures that consistency doesn't turn into stale autopilot, but remains a living process where you adapt to your evolving goals and experiences. Mindset around failure is also critical. Missing one day or falling short of a target isn't a verdict on your capacity for consistency. It's a nudge to return the following day. If you skip a planned session or find yourself giving a half-hearted effort, the daily formula still holds. You only need to resume the next day. By viewing occasional slip-ups as temporary deviations rather than catastrophes, you maintain your momentum. This viewpoint guards against the common trap of letting one stumble unravel all your prior progress. Establishing a system for external accountability can fortify your personal resolve. Maybe you share your goals with a mentor or keep a mutual check-in arrangement with a friend pursuing similar ends. The knowledge that someone else is aware of your commitment encourages you to honor it daily. Though intrinsic motivation is powerful, external support can add a layer of commitment that helps sustain the routine when you're feeling less motivated from within. Over time, the combination of personal drive and social reinforcement raises the likelihood that consistency becomes second nature rather than an uphill battle. Consistency can also be nurtured by cultivating a flexible yet respectful relationship with your own limitations. Each person has different energy cycles, responsibilities, and personal challenges to navigate. Rather than forcing a one-size-fits-all routine that might clash with your natural rhythms, it often serves you better to adapt your plan so it feels supportive instead of punishing. If you find that early mornings leave you groggy, forcing a pre-dawn practice could drain motivation within a week, whereas a lunchtime or early evening slot might integrate more smoothly into your life. The crucial principle is the daily act itself, not the hour on the clock. So choosing a schedule aligned with your biological and situational realities increases the odds you'll keep showing up. A common stumbling block arises from idealistic notions about how the routine should look. You may picture a perfect setting, ample time, total peace, unwavering focus, only to discover your day rarely unfolds with such precision. Life can be messy. Chores beckon, errands pop up, or your emotions fluctuate. If you're rigidly attached to that dream scenario, the first sign of chaos can derail your plan. On the other hand, a more resilient attitude says, even if conditions aren't perfect, I'll complete a scaled-back version of my practice. Maybe that means drafting a rough outline when you'd hope for a fully polished draft, or doing a shorter workout when extra things consume your evening. These small compromises keep momentum alive. Consistency finds strength in flexibility, absorbing life's jolts rather than letting them fracture your commitment a day by day. Formula also benefits from the mental technique of visualizing success before beginning. When you take a moment, just seconds really, to picture how you'll feel upon completing today's action, it bolsters motivation. You might imagine the sense of accomplishment from finishing those pages, or the physical relief after a calming exercise, even if your day is hectic. This brief visualization bridges the gap between intention and action. Sometimes we hesitate to start because the mind amplifies the effort, forgetting the reward. But consistently pairing a mental image of the result with the action makes it easier to slip into the routine. As you're reminded of the payoff at the end, repeat it over weeks. This small mental rehearsal can become a potent trigger, urging you to begin your daily practice. Alongside visualization, setting micro-challenges within your larger routine can spark renewed engagement. If you're writing every day, you could challenge yourself to write a certain number of words more than yesterday. Or if you're practicing a musical instrument daily, you might aim to improve one tricky passage each session. These mini goals create pockets of excitement within the steady rhythm, infusing your repetition with an element of discovery. They can also clarify exactly what you aim to accomplish each time, removing ambiguity that sometimes dulls motivation. In the long run, these small innovations keep your practice from falling into a mechanical grind. Each day remains a meaningful contribution to your evolution rather than a rote task to check off. The social dimension cannot be overlooked. While a strong internal drive is crucial, Sometimes the spark to remain consistent emerges or is reinforced by the people around us. Family members, friends, or a local community can encourage you to maintain your daily actions, whether by asking about your progress or simply lending moral support. When determination wavers some, set up accountability partnerships. You share your daily goal with someone and report back and they do the same. This mutual exchange of updates can fuel diligence, as you don't want to let your partner down or face explaining why you skipped out without good cause. Over time, this support system transforms your routine from an isolated struggle into a communal experience, one that feels shared and affirmed. Persistence and consistency is also linked to self-compassion. It's easy to slip into harsh self-criticism if you miss a day or if you don't see immediate results. Negative self-talk can become a spiral that undermines the will to continue. Cultivating a kinder inner dialogue does not mean making excuses. It means acknowledging that life has its UPS and downs, and that improvement is a process. If you slip, you reflect on why it happened, adjust if necessary, and recommit to tomorrow. Ironically, being gentle with yourself in these moments often fuels longer-term consistency because you're less inclined to throw in the towel at the first sign of imperfection. Even in times of doubt, when you question whether your daily tasks lead anywhere tangible, the habit of consistency can ground you. You might not always see progress day to day, like watching a plant that seems to grow at an invisible pace. Yet just as the roots of that plant spread unseen beneath the surface, your consistent actions lay a foundation of skill, understanding, and resilience. Then a moment arrives when the growth becomes suddenly evident, a performance improves, a project nears completion, or someone remarks on how far you've come. Realizing that hidden progress was unfolding all along can be an enlightening experience, reinforcing why the steady approach works even when the outcome isn't immediately obvious. You can also view the daily formula as a backdrop that simplifies other decisions. Knowing that a certain portion of your day is devoted to a key activity removes the energy drain of constant deliberation. Instead of debating whether you should practice your craft or engage in self-improvement, you act according to a pre-established plan. This frees cognitive space for more creative or strategic thinking. As you're not continuously negotiating with yourself over time, you'll likely notice that your mental clarity benefits from fewer internal tug-of-war moments, allowing you to focus on refining the quality of your efforts rather than just deciding if you're going to make the effort at all. A day-by-day approach may sound simplistic to those craving a quick transformation, yet profound change often arises from sustained, moderate actions rather than frantic pushes. Eventually, consistent practice changes not only your external results, but also your identity. You begin to see yourself as someone who respects discipline, who invests in personal evolution daily, and who, despite setbacks, refuses to abandon the path. That shift in self-perception can have ripple effects throughout your life, affecting how you approach relationships, solve problems, or greet unexpected obstacles. And once that sense of identity takes root, maintaining consistency becomes far less of a chore and more a reflection of who you naturally are. Consistency can begin to influence even how you handle unplanned successes. If a surge of good fortune arrives, a promotion, unexpected praise, or an accomplishment that comes sooner than expected, it's tempting to ease off the daily effort under the assumption you've made it. But those who maintain their routine, whether or not things are going well, safeguard themselves against complacency. They recognize that a fleeting high doesn't replace the need for continued growth. By pressing onward with the same steady pattern, they stay grounded, ensuring that a short-term peak becomes part of a broader, ongoing ascent rather than a single leap followed by a slump. Emotional balance often improves alongside consistent behavior. Many find that sticking to regular habits, practicing a skill, scheduling reflection, or dedicating time to a passion creates an inner sense of order amid external chaos. If your environment shifts unpredictably, the knowledge that you'll still honor your daily plan can bring reassurance. Day after day, you begin to see your routine not as a cage, but as a supportive pillar. This feeling of stability can lower stress levels and foster a sense of control, even when life around you seems anything but stable. Those who consistently show up often develop a quiet self-confidence. They may not trumpet their every achievement, but they know that day by day they're inching closer to their goals. That steady commitment contrasts with the flashier but more erratic methods some attempt. The beauty of a reliable pace is that it doesn't hinge on being in the perfect mood. Instead, it taps a gentle but persistent form of self-trust, reminding you that good days and bad days both contribute to the greater whole. If you maintain consistent effort, eventually those around you take notice, not because you constantly broadcast your routine, but because results quietly accumulate until they're impossible to ignore. The word consistency might evoke visions of unvarying schedules and measured tasks, yet it also fosters creativity. Freed from the pressure of waiting for the perfect moment, you can explore new techniques or angles, confident that each day offers another chance to refine your approach. When each 24-hour cycle includes a chunk of time devoted to a chosen endeavor, writing, painting, training, organizing, you get ample practice to experiment. Some trials may fall flat, but that's not a crushing defeat. It's part of a larger chain of attempts, and tomorrow brings another opportunity. Over weeks and months, this daily window for creativity can lead to unexpected breakthroughs that might never materialize under a sporadic schedule. Consistency also has a way of revealing deeper insights about what truly resonates with you. In the early stages, a goal may appear appealing based on external ideas. Maybe someone else found success in that arena, so you assume it's your path too. But after consistently engaging with that pursuit day after day, you either confirm its importance or discover it might not spark genuine passion. This clarity emerges because daily repetition strips away illusions. If you consistently feel drained or uninterested, you might realize you're forcing a commitment that doesn't align with your core interests. On the other hand, if you look forward to each session, it's a sign that you're walking a road that feeds your enthusiasm, making it far easier to sustain momentum in the long run. At times, real-life demands can collide with your best intentions. Forcing you to choose which goals to emphasize, a day-by-day strategy doesn't guarantee you'll juggle everything flawlessly, but it does offer a framework that clarifies priorities. If you can only devote yourself fully to one or two major commitments daily, you'll likely cut out superfluous pursuits or time-wasting habits. This refining process not only preserves consistency, but also ensures you're placing energy where it matters most, rather than scattering it across multiple half-hearted attempts. The outcome is a more directed effort that sees real progress rather than an array of unfinished beginnings. A day-by-day practice also helps temper perfectionism. The daily groundwork prepares them for those moments. Without consistency, bursts of creativity might lack direction or readiness. In this way, the day-by-day approach doesn't limit ambition, it creates the conditions for it to flourish naturally, with genuine preparedness rather than frantic scrambling. Consistency also boosts resilience. If you only act on good days, a stressful week or emotional slump can derail you, but a consistent routine acts like a cushion, softening the blow. You remind yourself, I might not feel my best, but I can still stick to my basic plan. This baseline keeps you anchored, preventing you from drifting so far that returning feels impossible. Over time, this reliability strengthens self-belief. You learn to keep moving even at half sped rather than abandoning the journey entirely. Ultimately, the day-by-day formula reshapes your relationship with effort and results. Instead of tying self-worth to a single outcome, you find pride in the act of showing up. Each day's effort, no matter how small, contributes to your personal tapestry of commitment and growth, like the steady ticking of a clock. This reliable rhythm drives real transformation. While others may only see the final achievement, you carry the deeper reward, knowing every step was earned through consistent dedication. Day after day, that dedication becomes second nature, fueling both ordinary tasks and grand ambitions. True consistency isn't about avoiding challenges or waiting for perfect conditions. It's about showing up in whatever capacity you can and trusting that these repeated efforts compound over time. By building habits that fit your life, you turn progress into a familiar routine, one that adapts to changing circumstances without collapsing. There's humility in accepting you won't always be at your peak. But there's power in knowing consistency is built through patience, adaptation, and small steps. This approach removes the drama of all or no thinking and replacing it with steady growth instead of bursts followed by stagnation. Over weeks, months, and years, repetition deepens skills, sharpens focus, and cultivates a mindset that perseveres through sunshine and storms. The greatest reward? The confidence you gain in yourself, the knowledge that no matter how winding the path, you have the discipline and devotion to keep moving forward.